everyone out there, welcome to the show. You are watching Elevate and my name is Teddy Namialo.
With Joko Letitia.
Elevate is a show where we look at various issues that the youth are facing, and lately we have been focusing on different business issues.
Well, in the last episode we talked about how to sustain your business, which is how to maintain it throughout the different situations that you might face in the different eras of life.
Yes, and having looked at how best we can sustain our businesses, in this week's episode we shall be looking at how do you tell that your profits are dwindling. How do you tell that as a business person your profits are reducing in the business, which is going to affect your business?
Yes,
and that is exactly what we are going to look at after this break. Letitia, last time we explained to people what exactly profit means, and I want to re-echo that. Profit is not just that extra money you add after having bought a good to sell it out again. No, profit is that money you add putting into consideration the other expenses. For example, repackaging and also transportation. That's what exactly profit is.
Now, Teddy, before you now start all that recap, you might bring back the whole 20 minutes of that episode. I think we should dive into the matter of today, which is how to identify exactly how to identify that your profits are declining.
Yes.
Which takes us to our first point. We are going to talk about decrease in sales. Do you understand when I say decrease in sales?
Yes, I definitely understand decrease in sales.
This definitely means that the buyers in your business are gradually reducing. Maybe yesterday you sold to 10 people, today you're selling to 5 people. Like, okay, yeah, the sales might vary, but if you see a constant decline, you should know that your profits are at stake. They are going to just maybe vanish at any moment.
Yes, so one should make sure that their sales do not decrease. But Letitia, how do we make sure that our sales do not reduce in businesses? Ensuring that one's sales do not reduce in businesses, this comes with a lot.
Well, I think let's do basic things. You see, these things, you might not need a lot. We are going to start with something like, make sure that your products are of high quality. The moment your products are appealing to the general public, to the people, to your target market, it obviously means that the buyers are going to come back.
We actually always emphasize selling high quality products. In each of our episodes, we tell you that despite everything, whether you're looking at cutting costs or anything, ensure that you sell high quality products.
Then we can also talk about customer care.
Yes.
I think, Ted, where you went to do that hair, like, everything was nice, they might have given you some juice or something.
Letitia,
like that.
We spoke of customer care last time, and if we begin speaking customer care again,
we might never stop.
We might never stop. But for you to have your sales high,
yes,
you should give the best customer care, because this is going to attract as many customers. You're going to be able to get people to refer your business because they've been given the best care, and definitely your sales will increase.
Yes, I think we all now know that Teddy is going to go back to whoever did her hair
because has given the best treatment.
But now, Teddy, there's this thing that people talk about of like giving discounts. Now, if I'm trying to make more money, why would I reduce the price of a product? It doesn't sit well. It doesn't sit well
with you. Well, let me just inform you all that.
If I would hike the prices.
Oh my God! Giving discounts is going to help you attract as many customers as you can. And it's going to help you increase your sales. Now, this is how it works. I'm going to give you a practical example. For instance, for someone making wooden lights, let me say that person decides and says that each wooden light that I make is
wooden lights.
Yes, wooden lights. They are warm lights. They are lights, but they are engraved in wooden carvings. Yes, that's wooden light. So for someone selling wooden lights, they will decide that since each of my lights goes for 100,000 shillings, I'll tell people that if at all you buy 2 items, not just one, you're going to receive a 20% discount. If you decide that you come to my shop and buy 2, you receive a 20% discount. So that means every item will have 10% discount. So if at all I've been selling my light at 100,000, for someone who buys 2, they'll buy it at 90,000, and the 2 of them will be 180,000. So that means someone is going to be more attracted to actually buy 2 lights because they're going to save 20,000 shillings, other than buying one this time at 100,000 and coming back again and buy another.
But now, me, Teddy, you've talked about reducing the price. There are some people there you've eliminated, like such as myself. I think we can just talk about, before we even talk about all those factors, I feel like those are, I might call them external things. They're not within the business.
Okay.
So now within the business, I would consider something like then you know, like your staff members.
Yes.
Staff members and customers have something in common. They both like good things. Everyone likes something good. So like if you have your staff, ensure that these people are well, what do they call, motivated.
Catered for.
Exactly. Now like expenses, you give them like maybe some lunch allowance, you give them maybe, you pay them on time. Sometimes you don't even have to do a lot. Just
so actually catering for your workers is a way to help your profits not to dwindle. But explain that more. How does me catering for my workers, giving them maybe allowances?
Now Teddy, as you're here, you're working here, right?
Yes, I am.
They give you allowance, don't they?
They do.
They give you transport allowance. You're going to live here, you're going to go for lunch, and like you've done something, you've done your part. I'm not going to say you're not doing a shabby job, are you?
No, I'm not.
Exactly. So like the moment these people are well motivated, their output is going to be a lot better than if they are just fending for them. Transport nkozesa sente zange. Like I'm struggling yet I'm employed. What, like by the time I reach where I'm going, like to work, I'm just going to do for the sake of going away.
So which means that if at all at the end of that day you're not given maybe the transport allowance, the food allowance, I'll end up instead using my salary. So I'll be working for food and transport, other than maybe working to pay fees for my children or something of that sort.
Children?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forget. My bad. We are looking at you.
There are families with children anyway.
Well, there's something with children, but well, maybe instead of saving to buy that iPhone. Yes. So giving someone allowances or giving someone allowances or an extra fee enables them to stay motivated.
Exactly. The business, you should be generous to your people within your means. That's what I'm saying. But as you're speaking of generosity, Ted, but now you find there's a certain business. One for them again, now they are too generous when it comes to things like expenditure.
I actually understand what you're saying.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, there are some businesses, you know, we are speaking of giving your workers allowance, taking care of them. But then now if at all you start giving too much than you can handle, then that becomes a problem. You find there are these, you know, I know of something called advance payment, though I would not say it's practical with me, I've not gotten any. But I've heard that you can go and then you tell your boss that, may I get an advance? So now if you're that business personnel, you give your workers who even have no contract, maybe 2 months ahead. Remember, business operations have to keep going. And then you give your workers 2 months ahead advance payment. Now what if this worker actually decides to leave?
You look for them.
How are you going to manage something like that?
But now, even before we even talk about those workers, there's something very easy. Now let's talk about like a salon.
Yes.
You go to a salon, they shampoo your hair the first time, they shampoo your hair the second time, they shampoo your hair the third time, they shampoo your hair the fourth, like all that. Oh, those are all things that you're wasting. Those are expenditure.
We talked about customer care.
There's a difference between customer care and being extravagant with the resources that you actually have at hand.
Yes.
You just have work within the means. You have to do enough to be able to sustain the business.
Do not shampoo our hair 5 times. You have to cut your coat according to your clothes. Exactly. You should know that I'm spending this because I'm getting this out of this. You're going to spend more money on shampooing someone's hair more than what they're actually
but if your
going to give
is going to make the money, you shampoo 5 times, 10 times. You do what
so we should actually know how best we can handle that. But then, Letitia, if at all we are looking at expenses, how best could someone manage them?
Well, I feel like one of the things that people might not know is maybe there's transport expenses. Now, like, there are people who buy goods in like very small quantities. Let's talk about Irish, because I know you like potatoes. So
I talk about it. Okay, proceed.
Okay, so like this person in the morning does the first shift. Maybe someone wants potato wedges for breakfast. What is going to order the first katasa. It's going to come. So it's going to get over.
They're paying the border man.
It's going to send again that same border man. Is going to, for him, he has no problem. He's making money.
Of course.
He's going to go, he's going to get the potatoes and bring them for you. They will get over. Now, like in a day, those are like 3 trips.
Yes.
Now, a person, if you are already planned for your market, and you know that within a day I'm expected to sell maybe between
to 20 people.
Exactly. Why not buy the bulk that's going to be enough for these 20 people? Well, that's just within a day. You can even plan for the week, just that some goods are perishable and like you might not want to have them in bulk and it might be risky for you, but you can actually order some things in bulk and be able to save the transport.
Well, still speaking of how best we can cut expenses, you can still source from a cheap supplier. We mentioned this in one of our episodes. You can still source from a cheap supplier.
Teddy is misleading you guys. It's a cheap supplier with high quality.
Oh, my bad. Cheap supplier with high quality products. Do not forget, that one is standard. That's why I do want to mention it again.
Why?
Cheap supplier, yes, but okay, that's affordable. Because when I say cheap, I think people are going to get confused, but affordable. Look for affordable goods, but high quality, and that is definitely going to help you cut expenses.
Abantu bakaba rent. If the rent is a lot, opt for a location that might be still suitable for your business.
Yes.
But when it's like, it's more affordable, it's you're not spending as much money.
We even spoke of using containers. Yes. Get a container. It's going to be cheaper.
Those chiller kiosks which are nice, like it works for your business. It works for your business at the stage that it's at, you get.
Yes.
So as your business continues growing, you're going to also keep upgrading this business and, it will get better.
Exactly. So please keep in mind that you should look for the best ways to cut expenses so that you ensure that your profits do not dwindle. At this point, we shall take a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back from that short break. You are still watching Elevate. And in this episode, we are looking at how do you tell that your profits, your business profits are declining. Before we went for our break, we were looking at operation costs. How best do you cut your operation costs? You should ensure that your operation costs are low so that you can get profits.
Yes, now there are some people who be like, now what if my operational costs, they are naturally high? You can reduce the operational costs. Come what may, it's all possible. Yes. We can look at factors like labor.
Okay.
Most businesses spend a lot on labor, but then you can actually opt for cheaper ways of having people to work for you. Like for example, multitasking. You can hire somebody. If it's possible for you, you equip them with the necessary skills. This person, maybe if you're working in a bakery, if you're interested in things like baking, this person can be able to design the cake, they know how to bake the cake.
And to package it as well.
Exactly, like they know everything. So you're going to, instead of you now having three people,
you're going to have one person.
You'd have the one now designing the cake. Now, why would you even have someone to package? Okay, you just put it in a box. But anyway, it depends on your business.
Exactly.
We can also talk about...
Still speaking of labor, Letitia, we can say that get part-time workers and full-time workers. Instead of having only full-time workers. Now, I won't still stick to the bakery. You have this person, they only package. Okay. But they spend the whole day there. Yet maybe you say, we have assigned packaging to this time. Let them be there when they need to be there. You're giving the same maybe allowances and all too. That person
for a whole month.
Exactly. Who stays there for only 2 hours. You're giving the same allowances to that person who even stays there the whole day.
So it would be better to just pay them for the day.
For their time.
They have done.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that is actually going to help you cut costs. There's nothing like my operation costs are naturally high. We are going to look for ways in which you will be able to cut those operational costs so that you can be able to get profits.
By the way, Teddy, before this all gets like technical in knowing of how the profits are dwindling and now Smile sells Smile word of mouth. Your customers themselves can come to you and they tell you, man, this that is which
before you actually say that your customer is your biggest asset. Do you realize, Letitia? No, let me talk about this. It is easier to keep a customer and 5 times harder to get a new customer. Keeping a customer is way easier because getting a new customer is really hard.
The whole process afresh.
Exactly. So making sure that you give your customer the best helps you.
Mananga, you even forgotten. Okay, what I was saying. We were talking about reviews from your customers. So now you're selling a product, like maybe the daddies you've made. Remember we used to make sausages. Okay, fine. Someone is selling sausages. Yes. Someone comes to you and they're like, man, these sausages had too much spice. Some people don't like spices anyway. Okay. Yeah, these sausages, they were overspiced. Okay, yeah, there are people who people always complain. No matter what, there's always going to be that person who come to complain.
But still.
But then it doesn't mean that you should disregard what
you should
your
take into consideration.
Over time, these complaints, if not worked upon, it's going to keep building up and it's going to lead to loss of sales.
Exactly.
Am I right?
That is definitely it, because overwhelming complaints mean that there's exactly something wrong. Yes. So you should take advantage and source from your customers. Ask them, you know, make a
market research.
Yes,
market research.
You go down and
review forms.
Yes, make the review forms. Ask the customers, are they happy with the service or product?
Yes.
If they are not, then you're going to find a way to make them happy, so that you can be able to increase your sales and make sure that your profits do not dwindle.
Exactly. So what we are saying, someone may not have understood, so let me clarify it. The moment there are complaints in your business, it means your product is lacking. It means there's going to be decline in sales. It means your profits are going to dwindle. That's as simply how I can put it. So you must be able to cater for these reviews that you receive, and you should also make sure that you always reach out to actually get these reviews. There are some customers who, for them, okay, yeah, they are bold, they're your friend, they can tell you, man, your thing is fake. I wore that dress and the first day the zip burst. But you should also be able to reach out to these customers where they are. You're like, oh, Susan, I sold you that thing. How is it working right now? And
exactly.
Maybe
building a connection with your customers actually helps you a lot.
Maybe Susan is going to tell you, oh yeah, I bought that shoe, but man, when I wore it, I saw you used super glue to put here, it didn't work out. So you actually keep building your business when you get these reviews from your customers.
Letitia, this has been a very productive discussion on how someone can identify or tell that their profits are actually dwindling. Because some people may be doing business, but even when their profits are declining, they can't tell that.
Are you sure?
Yes, until their businesses collapse. But I'm sure, at least
maybe
now,
that person is not attentive.
But at least now, someone could tell in an easier way. And I think we should bring in an expert to actually enlighten us and the youths out there on how best we can actually identify that our profits are dwindling in business.
Is our expert Edna once more?
Yes, definitely. Let us welcome Edna, our expert.
First of all, the only way to tell that your profit is falling is if you're keeping books. If your books are in order and you're ensuring that you're following how much revenue is coming in, you know how much you're spending, and then you can be able to calculate how much your profit is. If you are not keeping those books, it will take you a very long time to tell that your profit is falling. And that is dangerous because revenue can be deceptive. Money coming in looks like everything is okay, but until you have those numbers in order, then you can be able to track. Now, profit falling could be for a number of reasons. It could be that your supplier increased the price at which they are giving you the goods, and you haven't matched up to ensure that you cover that increase in the price at which you're selling. So then you'll have to revise and take care of that discrepancy. It could also be that your costs are rising in another way. Maybe your rent went up and you just haven't been able to work out a way of covering it, and therefore you see a fall in the profit. It could also be because your customers are moving on, and they are moving on by that's a sign that they are either not happy with what it is that you're offering. If they are moving on, you will tell if you have stock on the shelves or in the store, it's really not moving. Then another way where your profit can struggle is because you're locking up a lot of money in debt. This usually happens when the people you're selling to have you have personal relationships with them, and it's easy for them to take your stock with a promise of payment at a certain point. Then it does not happen and you have money locked up, so your operations begin to struggle because there is money stuck somewhere. So it's important to be able to tell where the problem is, because that's the only way you'll be able to begin to solve the problem. If the money is stuck in debts and non-payment, then you need to revise your rules and say you can only you can deposit and take the product after you have paid. But to avoid people leaving you with products for 6 months, have a timeline in which a payment has to be made so that your operations can continue running smoothly without locking up money elsewhere. If it's because your customers are moving on either from your product or from your service, then you need to go back and find out why are they moving on. Were you selling something trendy and the trend has passed? Is it because someone is doing it better? How do you study them, and how do you study your competition, and how do you then offer something better to ensure that you retain these people? I've said before that it's important to have a mechanism in which you talk to your market and hear back from it, so that is always going to guide you. So when you know where the challenge is and how you can solve it, you go back to the basics of ensuring that you keep your costs very low, and then you offer at a very good price, a price that keeps you in business but offers you a profit, and then you can take it from there.
Thank you, Edna, for those wonderful insights on how best someone can be able, a youth in business can be able to identify that their profits are dwindling.
Yes, because of Edna's input, I now know that I was at the verge of collapse in my business, but I know I'm going to be able to revive it. Don't forget to subscribe and watch our videos. New Vision Wear is the name across all social media platforms. Whatever you want, it's your preference. I've been your host, Juko Letitia, with
Teddy Namialo. Catch us next time. Bye-bye.